Okay, concept development. We're going to be dividing. So, problem number 1. All right, so 0.9 divided by 3. So, we got to figure out how we're going to do this, right? How does we want to separate this into 3 groups? If we're dividing by 3, we're going to want to separate 0.9 in 3 equal groups, okay? So first things first, I'm going to go up to my place value chart. I'm going to look at it and say, okay, I'm going to be in the tenths column because 0.9 is 9/10 and 9/10 is in the tenths column. So if I wanted to separate it into 3 different groups, how many are going to be in each group? 9 divided by 3, a basic math fact, is 3. So I'm going to need 3/10 per group. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. So each of my groups have 3/10. If I add them all up together, it equals 9/10. Does everyone see how I did that? We're starting off small here, okay? So there are 3 groups of 0.3. There are 3 groups of 3/10. So 9/10 divided into 3 groups equals 3/10. So what we really want to do, which makes this like 100 times easier, is if we use unit form to help us out. If we use unit form to help us divide. So instead of saying 0.9 divided by 3, we can say 9/10 divided by 3. That makes it like a basic math fact, right? It's like dividing whole numbers. So if we do 9 divided by 3, we know that's 3, right? But it's 3/10. So 9/10 divided by 3 is 3/10. And we know how to change 3/10 into a decimal, right? We've been doing it for the last few weeks, okay? So if we use unit form, it'll help us, okay? When we identify the units, and then it makes it just like dividing apples into 3 groups. If we have 9 apples and we divide them into 3 groups, we know that there's going to be 3 in each group, right? We're just going to be changing it to unit form to help us out, okay? Perfect. So 3 groups of 0.3 equals 9. So that's just kind of the first question. Let's move on to question 2 so we can try it out again, okay? So if I have 0.24 divided by 4, I can say this is 24 hundredths, right? Divided by 4. So we all know what 24 divided by 4 is, right? It's 6. So what I'm going to do is I want to make 4 groups. How many are going to be in each group if I have 4 groups? How many dots are going to be in each group? It's going to be 6, right? All right. So I have 4 groups of 6. If I have 4 groups of 6, that's 24, right? So if I want to divide this into 4 groups, my answer is going to be how many are in the group. So this right here, this many dots will be my answer. 0.06. Does everyone see how I did that? All right, number 3. 0.032 divided by 8. So If we change this into unit form, it's 32 thousandths divided by 8. Okay, so if I'm going to go, I'll go into my thousandths. How many are going to be in each group if I need 8 groups? 8 groups. So I'm going to be focusing on the thousandths column. How many would be in each group if I had 8 separate groups? What is 32 divided by 8? We're going to have 4. 4 in each group. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. All righty. We're making 8 groups of 4. Eight groups of 4. So now we can see that in each group it is 4 thousandths. 4 thousandths. So if I divide 32 thousandths into 8 groups, each group will have 4 thousandths. Does everyone see how I got that answer? 4 thousandths. First, we rename it into unit form so we can divide it by whole numbers. Then we know the basic math facts. 32 divided by 8, we know that's 4, but we need to make sure we have it in the thousandths column because we've converted it to thousandths, okay? Okay, so if we want to subtract to check our answer, what we'll do is we'll go 0.032 minus 0.004. Okay, and that equals 0.028. So we want to do it again, minus 0.004, which equals 0.024. Let's subtract again. 0.004 equals 0.020. See, this is our first time, this is our second time, this is our third time. Got to subtract a fourth time, which equals 0.016. We got to subtract a fifth time, 0.012. We'll subtract a sixth time, which equals 0.008. We'll do a seventh time, and a last time. Does everyone see, since I subtracted 0.004 8 times, it equals 0, which means that our answer is correct. Okay. Okay, number 4, 1.5 divided by 5. All right, let's immediately think, let's change this to unit form. All right, so 1.5 is 15 tenths in unit form. 15 tenths. All right, so 15 tenths divided by 5 is what we're looking for. Okay, when we say the units like this, it's like basic facts. It's easier for us, right? So what is 15 tenths divided by 5? Can anyone tell me how many dots will be in each group if I have 5 groups? Alrighty, so 15 tenths divided by 5. That means there's going to be 5 groups, and there's going to be 3 dots per group. Alrighty. So, since I have 5 groups, there's 3 dots in each group. So, if I have 3 dots in each group in the tenths column, 15 tenths divided by 5 is 3 tenths, which also equals 0.3. Okay? We can also do it a different way. So, if 1.5 divided by 5, you can multiply it by 10. Remember how we were multiplying and dividing by 10 to get rid of the decimal points? So, we can do 1.5 times 10 equals 15. Divided by 5 equals 3. But if we multiply it by 10, we're going to have to divide by 10 to equal it back out. So it's 0.3. That's a little bit less complex way of doing it. It's an easier way of doing it. So I'm going to introduce it to you now. But tomorrow we're going to get more into standard algorithm, okay? Today we're going to focus on more how it's done. And I'm going to show you kind of the drawn out way of doing it, okay? Number 5, 1.05 divided by 5. Alrighty, this is where you guys got to pay attention. So if I was to change this into unit forms, it would be 105 hundredths, right? If I was to change 1.05 into unit form, it would be 105 hundredths. But can anyone do 105 divided by 5 off the top of their head? That's kind of hard. So let's try to make it a little bit easier. Let's see if we can change it to almost like a simpler unit form, okay? So what if I did 10 tenths and 5 hundredths? Is that equal to 105 hundredths? 10 tenths and 5 hundredths? Does that equal 105 hundredths? Yeah, because look, 10 tenths and 5 hundredths. Okay, so this might be easier to divide because they're multiples of 5. You all can divide 10 tenths divided by 5, right? You can divide 5 hundredths divided by 5. Easy peasy, right? So if I go over here to my place value chart and I say, all right, I need to log 10 tenths in here, but I need to separate it into groups. So if I have 10 tenths and I want it in 5 different groups. All right? So there's going to be okay, so I'm going to be separating into 5 groups. So if I divide 10 divided by 5, how many are going to be in each group? There's going to be 2 in each group. 2 in each of the 5 groups. Alrighty. Okay, and then I go to 5 hundredths, and I need 5 groups. So I'm going to need 5 groups, and in each group, there's only going to be 1 dot because I'm dividing 5 into 5 groups. All right, so to find my answer, what I look for is how many are in this one group and how many are in this one group, right? So if I have 0.2, there's nothing here, right? So let's bring down a 0, and then there's 1 here. All right, I totally did that wrong. I put it in the wrong. I'm sorry, guys. I am not here today. This is supposed to be in the hundredths group. There we go. It's the 10th group and the 100th group, okay? Not the thousandths. I don't know where my head's at, but it's 0.21, okay? 0.21. 21 hundredths. Okay, number 6. So I have 3.015 divided by 5. So that would be 3,015 thousandths divided by 5. I don't know about you, but I cannot divide that off the top of my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into smaller units in unit form, so it's easier for me to break down and it's easier for me to divide by 5, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 30 tenths and 15 thousandths divided by 5. Does everyone see how I divided that up? 30 tenths and 15 thousandths. Okay, so I'm going to want to break this down into 5 groups, right? We're dividing by 5, which means we need 5 groups. So first things first, we'll go to the tenths column. I want to divide 30 tenths by 5. So if I have 5 groups, how many will be in each group? 6. There will be 6 in each group. So everyone draw 5 groups of 6. Five groups of 6. Now we'll go to the thousands column. And for real this time, we're going to the thousandths. We're skipping the hundredths. Okay? So if I have 15 thousandths and I want to divide it into 5 groups, how many will be in each group? 15 divided by 5 is 3. So I have 3 groups, or 5 groups of 3. Alrighty. So, since I divided that, my answer is going to be how many are in each of these, right? So, my answer for this is I have 0.6. There's nothing here, so that's 0. And there's 3 here. So my answer is 0.603. Does everyone see how I got 3.015 divided by 5 equals 0.603? All right, we're going to skip down to number 7. 4.8 divided by 6 equals blank, and then 48 divided by 6 equals blank. So what I want to do is I want to find like the relationship between these. What makes them similar? So we know that 48 is 10 times bigger than 4.8, right? Because we move the decimal place over and that's it'd be like multiplying it by 10. The digits are the same, but the decimal points are in different places. So what we want to do is we want to think about it like basic facts, like we've been talking about, right? So we can easily think 48 divided by 6, that's 8. Easy. Basic math facts. We want to think about the same thing for 4.8 divided by 6, right? If I multiply it by 10, it's 48 divided by 6, which we got before. It's 8. But since I multiplied it by 10, I need to go back and divide it by 10. I need to put a decimal place in it. So if I end up dividing this by 10, it's gonna be moving the decimal place to the left. Does everyone see how I did that? I made it a whole number, and then I divided it back out to a decimal. You have to remember that 4.8. So you have to remember that we can change it to like units. So this can be 48 tenths Or we can multiply by 10, then divide it by 10. All right, we can manipulate the numbers in order to make them whole numbers easy for us to divide. I know decimals get a little scary. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this decimal point? But if we make it easier on ourselves and we make it easier for us to divide them, it's easy. Okay? It just takes practice. Today we're just introducing it. So tomorrow we're going to get a little bit more in depth, and then we're going to, keep going.